Hi, Heidi. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm well, likewise. I'm super excited to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just like I mentioned earlier, thank you so very much for being here, you see. I truly appreciate it. And you see, Heidi, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where I think it has become my anthem. So firstly, Heidi, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, AD, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, AD, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. Not just mangoes now, but ripe mangoes. So it was a beautiful moment that day. I was so excited. I tell you, here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing AD that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you see you got the request for me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your work, your impact, the impact it is having, your insights, your philosophy. It's amazing. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And secondly, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, AD, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. You see, I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, I believe it takes the application of knowledge. And not just
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, yeah, but the application of it, quality information.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, AD, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very, very important to me and even to the listeners. The second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing AD on the show is for the sake of the listeners. You see, AD, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there.
Mm-hmm.
So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, very important information, of which I'm totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, AD, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey. Right now, we are just so curious. We want to know how AD got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, AD, over to you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for all that. So professionally, I am a software developer by trade. And I'm also a coach. I've been in the tech space now for over a decade. And the type of software development that I do is very, very simple. It's very, very straightforward. And I just kind of had the idea of like, I legitimately think I can teach anyone how to do this. And then I started teaching friends and then family. And then they got involved in tech and they started making six figures and $250,000 per year. And I was like, okay, I've got something here. Right. And so that's when I kind of decided to start my coaching business and really, as you said, invest in myself and take it to the next level. And then also on a, I guess, semi-professional personal level, I'm also like a coach for men. I am pro masculinity. I don't believe there's a such thing as toxic masculinity. I believe there's just masculinity. And when it shows up in a way that people don't like it, they call it toxic. I'm also pro femininity, right? I love myself and I preach my 4 pillars, which are self-love, self-respect, self-acceptance, and gratitude, because those are the 4 pillars of everything. Without gratitude, nothing else happens. And I think that, again, we live in a time today where, because masculinity is shunned, men tend to shun themselves. They tend to be ashamed of themselves and their nature, and they walk around with this their entire life. They're born into it. They don't even realize that they're doing it. And that was me for a very, very long time. And so I'm just excited about sharing my message with men and letting them know that, like, there's nothing wrong with you because because you're masculine. And you're not supposed to be like a woman. You're supposed to be like yourself. Right. And I also believe that men and women need each other. I seriously believe that I am not capable. So my job, my goal during this lifetime is to become the best version of myself and then present that to the world. Okay. And I'm not able to do that without interactions with women, without learning how to interact with them, without learning how to lead them. Right. Because the best version of me is capable of interacting and interfacing with any and everybody: men, women, children, the old, the young, Italians, Hispanics, everybody. Right. And so I need everybody in order to become the best version of myself. And I also believe that women need men. They need to be learned to be led by men in order to become the best versions of themselves. And I genuinely believe, like, I have a friend who would say, the people on this earth who understand masculinity the most are the people who are at the highest points of life and the lowest points. Okay. Meaning, like, the severely homeless and the impoverished and the really, really, really wealthy. Right. At the top, the really wealthy understand that business is a cutthroat sport. People don't really follow rules. They do what they believe is best for them, even if that means spiting someone else, right? If they're really greedy or money hungry or whatever like that. And so they're living in a masculine reality. And then likewise, if you have someone who, like, lives under a bridge or who lives on the sidewalk and he's like, just gets stepped over every day, he's living in the masculine reality of, no one's coming to save me. I must save myself. Right. And everybody else kind of lives in this middle ground, like most of society. And so I, again, want to tell men, hey, you're not wrong. You're just a man. You are powerful. You are, like, the world. You move the world. The world needs you. You are important. And the world is only going to treat you as important as you believe you are yourself. And I believe everything comes back down to self.
Powerful words, I tell you. And that's a very important statement, The part you said last is very, very inspiring. You don't need to be like someone else, just be you. That's a great
Yes.
one. I love that. And I love the fact that you are standing out to offer the solution. Just like you mentioned, as a coach, and what you're doing, it's amazing. So I wanted to ask, all right, what tech skill can help a hardworking man become a high income earner in 6 months? Can you share any with us?
Absolutely. So there's lots and lots and lots of tech skills out there. There's so many. We live in a time today where you could literally just go on YouTube or go on Udemy or go anywhere where you can buy a course for $20. You can finish that course and now you have a skill and you can go make 6 figures with it. There's so many of those, right? And the skill that I teach, I find to be the simplest. It is called RPA, right? It is short for Robotic Process Automation. It's a big fancy word. All that really means is it's like coding, and coding is just giving instructions to computer, right? Except it's less coding, less writing one individual line of code, and more dragging and dropping, right? The analogy that I like to use is, let's say, Elisha, let's say you build homes, and let's say that I build homes, right? Let's say that I build homes using brick and mortar. Like, I get on my hands and knees, I get, hammer and nails and drywall, and I do it the old fashioned way. But let's say that you've learned how to 3D print homes, right? So all you do is you have your 3D printing machine, you press a button, and then it spits out a wall. And then you push that button 2 more times, it spits out 2 more walls. And then you push that button again, now it spits out a roof, right? You're doing the same thing that I'm doing. It's just yours is simplified. You're going to be able to master your craft a lot faster than me. And because of that, the learning curve for it is a lot shorter, and you're able to get employed sooner. And the average person who's doing that job today is earning $130,000. They're working from home. They're working less than 20 hours a week, and they're living an incredible lifestyle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, so let's talk about men. Why do men experience a midlife crisis?
That's great. That's a great question. So let's look at what a midlife crisis is. I don't even like the term. What is, if I had to ask you in your own words, Elijah, how would you define what a midlife crisis is?
Well, just like you said, you don't like the term. I don't like the term too. But I would just say maybe that point in time where you get struck unexpectedly and now you don't even know what to do or how to go about it, or that tough
Mm-hmm.
situation where you turn series of places now helping coming. I don't know if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, but that's just my own way. That's just how I can put it.
Here's what it is, and I'll give it in an example or like a story. This is what happens with most men. They are young. They have a high school or college sweetheart, right? Maybe they marry her. Maybe they marry someone else at like 21, 22, 23, 28. It doesn't matter. They are in a series of monogamous relationships and then they get married. Okay, let's just say they get married at 25. Then they have kids. Then they like really go head first into their career. They buy a home. They get car insurance. They get life insurance. They start becoming a responsible adult. Okay. And they inadvertently, or maybe advertently, because I wouldn't say inadvertently, they tend to believe that as long as everyone in my household is okay, the wife is cool, the kids are good, everyone's getting good grades, everyone's eating healthy, as long as they're fine, I'm fine. And the men are broke down, busted, and disgusted. They're sad, they're depressed, they're stressed out, they're burnt out, they're working 40, 50, 60 hours a week in order to provide for a woman who does not have sex with them. Okay. And they do not take care of themselves. They essentially put everyone's needs above their own. Right. And they mistakenly believe that this is what's noble, that you should sacrifice yourself to provide for your family. Now, you should be responsible for your family. You should take care of them, right? Your kids didn't ask to be here. You put them here. You and your woman. So yes, definitely be responsible. But I always tell people there's no one more important to me in my household, in my home, in my family on this earth than me. Because if I go down, I'm the captain of the ship. My family goes down, right? If we're at war, you're the head captain of your army. I'm the head captain of my army. I don't need to kill every single one of your soldiers. I just need to take you out. And then everybody else falls, right? And so I tell men, you are the heads of your household. You must put you first, right? Have you ever been on an airplane, Elijah, and they say, hey, if the cabin pressure falls and the thing come down, put them on your face first, then the kids, right? Have you ever heard that before?
Right.
Men do it the other way around. They take care of everyone else. And in this scenario, they would have passed out. And it's like, no, that doesn't work. You must put you first, right? And I say that selfishness is a virtue. I think everyone needs to become more selfish. More specifically, I think men need to become more selfish, right? Women are already selfish enough, at least the women that I know and I've met in the West. And I don't mean in a negative way. I mean, they know what they want and they're willing to request it of you. Hey, honey, I really want this ring. Hey, honey, I really want to go on a vacation here. Hey, honey, I want these shoes. It is her telling you what she wants and expects you to get it to her. Okay. That's what I mean by selfish. And so men live their entire lifetimes expecting that like they're just going to wake up and provide for her and provide for the kids the entire time, whether it's a wife or a girlfriend or anyone else, right? Some men have this kind of relationship with their mother. And so a midlife crisis, to make sure I get back to the question, is basically where the man wakes up one day, 20 years into his relationship or in his marriage or whatever, and he's realizing, I've put everyone ahead of me. I've had dreams and goals, because before he was a husband, before he was a father, he was a young man, and that young man had dreams, right? And he's realizing I've put everyone in front of me for the last 20 to 30 years. That stops now. And then he starts to do what? He starts to become selfish. He's always wanted a convertible car and a hot girlfriend. So he goes and gets a convertible car and a hot girlfriend. right? And he starts to make all these erratic decisions that people are looking at him and saying, wait, why is he doing this? Is he going crazy? No, he's decided to start living for himself and putting himself first, right? And I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. And to put a bow on this, why I think selfishness is important is because what's best for me is what's best for those around me. Okay. If my confidence is a 2 out of 10, then my wife gets a husband with a confidence with a 2 out of 10. My son gets a father with a confidence of 2 out of 10. Okay. My employers or my employees get a boss whose confidence is a 2 out of 10. But if my confidence is a 10 out of 10, meaning I take the time to invest in me and my confidence and in any other skill, now my wife gets a husband whose confidence is 10 out of 10. My son gets a father whose confidence is 10 out of 10. My employees get a leader whose confidence is a 10 out of 10. By making me better, I make everyone in proximity to me better.
That's so true. Because the best investment you can ever make to your family, your spouse, your friends, or whatever, is to invest in yourself. Because you cannot give what you don't have. And I got that. That's a very, very beautiful one. And I think that that's where many men fail to understand it. You have to put yourself first, not to make others irrelevant or you don't do what you need to do, but the understanding that you need to be, just like you mentioned, like the captain, you need to be firm and gain your grounds properly to serve them well. I got that. Okay, so why is self-respect the most attractive thing a man can offer his wife?
Because a lack of self-respect leads to your woman feeling unsafe. And if your woman does not feel safe, she is not going to let you lead her, nor will she have sex with you. Imagine being tethered to a woman for a lifetime who does not want to have sex with you and does not want to follow your instructions or does not want to lead you. She wants to make all the decisions and she wants to give you nothing, right? Here's the example that I give. Let's just say you're married, right? And let's say that one day, and let's say you're married to a beautiful wife. She's a beautiful 10 out of 10, right? Stunning in every way that you see fit. And let's say you have a beautiful home and beautiful kids. And one day you are, your wife, your kids, you're outside in the front yard. The kids are playing. Maybe you're grilling. Maybe she's doing something with the flowers. Who knows, right? And let's just say, I'm going to give an exaggerated example. Let's say a midget, okay, walks up, a very short, stout midget walks up and he's like, hey, Elisha, that's a beautiful home, beautiful kid, beautiful family. Get out of here. That's mine now. Right. And let's say in scenario A, you cower and you run away and you're like, okay, bro, I don't want any problems. This is your family now. You run off. In scenario B, you stand up and you say, bro, if you don't get off my property, I'm going to cause harm to you. I recommend that you leave now. Okay. In which of those scenarios do you think your wife feels safe and protected?
The second one, the one when I stood the ground and I told the person to leave. Yeah.
Yep. And so the first one, either way, and whether it's scenario A or B, that person tried to show up and bully you, correct?
That's right.
They came and they said, hey, if you don't do this, or they're saying, I want you to do this. And if you don't, I'm going to inflict harm. It's kind of what they're indirectly saying, right? What most men don't understand is that their wife bullies them mentally and emotionally every single day. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's unconscious. Let me give you an example. Let's just say that you are wanting to go, or let's say your wife is like, hey, honey, I really want to go and take the family on a trip to Disneyland, right? And let's just say you price it out and it's going to be like $8,000, okay? And let's say that you guys have a ton of credit card debt, like you're swimming in credit card debt and you have very little money saved. Financially speaking, I think you and I would both agree that Disneyland is not a trip that makes a lot of sense right now. Correct?
True. Correct.
Okay. And so you then have the option of telling her yes or no. You believe, or you know by history, if you say no, she's going to throw a fit. She's going to complain. She's going to cry. She's going to tell her parents you don't ever take her anywhere. She's going to say, you don't love me, right? All of these are emotional manipulative tactics. Okay. And so because you don't want to face those things, you make a bad financial decision and you say, yeah, baby, we can go. She just successfully bullied you. That is the equivalent of scenario A. Because she can bully you, her mammalian brain thinks, why does he not feel confident or strong enough to stand up to me? Why does he cower to me? If he doesn't stand up to me, what makes me think he'll stand up to anyone else who tries to harm me? And now she shuts down because she feels unsafe, because you've let her bully you. Does that make sense?
Lord, I got it.
And so
And
what
that's
I tell men is you have to learn and become skilled at the art of disappointing your woman. You must be able to tell her no and then let her be in her emotions. She's not going to die. She'll be okay. And it actually makes her feel safe. She's going to kick and scream and cause all kind of problems in the beginning, but 24 hours later, she's like, you know what? That turns me on. They call it putting them in their place. They'll say, I need a man who can put me in my place, meaning he can tell me no and then does not cower to what the emotional effects of what happens next. And I tell them, you really don't have to do anything. You could just say no and then walk away. And if she tries to follow you, hey, go sit down. Leave me alone. Stop. It doesn't take a whole lot, but it's like knowing that that's okay, knowing she's going to have a response, knowing that this is a test that, again, is sometimes intentional, sometimes it's unintentional, right? Sometimes this is something she's trying to do. Other times this is something that she doesn't even know she's doing, and it's just in her nature, right? But that is why self-respect is so important, right? Self-respect is treating someone, self-respect is admiration, treating yourself like someone who you admire. You wouldn't let someone who you admire be bullied. So why would you let someone bully you?
okay. We're back. Sorry about that.
No, understood.
So, yeah, to bring this to an end, AD, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about everything we've discussed so far, how can that be?
Absolutely. So last parting words, love yourself. Love who loves you. Take care of yourself, accept yourself, practice gratitude. Gratitude is the fundamental cornerstone to everything, because until you're grateful for what you have, you cannot have more. That's not how the universe works, right? And to the people who want to learn how to break into the tech space, you can find me on Instagram at the RPA guy. So that's the word THE, the R is in Robert, P is in Paul, A is in Aaron, guy, on Instagram as well as on YouTube. And then if you're more interested in the masculinity content, then you can find me on Instagram at King's Corner Podcast TV and on YouTube at King's Corner Podcast, where I just kind of share a lot of my own thoughts and a lot of my own mistakes that I've made so that you can learn from my pain and not have to go through it yourself.
Got that. So that's going to be the end of the show, AD. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot, my man.
Thank you for having me.